All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're looking at code.org's HTML unit, so creating web pages. And we're actually on lesson 3, headings and lists, and we're looking at the practice activities. So for this one, there are actually 4 of them, so I'll kind of go through each one of them. This one talks about debugging and missing a paragraph. So if we look down here, we can see that we're getting an error somewhere along in here. That's why this is different colors. Well, if we look, every time you use a tag, you have to have an open tag, and then you have to close that tag with the / here. Well, if we look, this has been closed, but then this paragraph is incorrect. So if we modify this and do that, now what that does is it gives us an open tag, and the close tag now works properly. So that error kept it, running continually, and that's why it didn't work. So that's how you fix this. You just got to make sure that you fix that tag so that it's correct. Okay, let's move on to the second activity for this practice. So the second activity in the practice, and I've moved on to debugging pink tags, is we're looking for all the pink tags and trying to fix them. Now, one thing to be careful of is you don't want to start at the bottom, because that potentially those work just fine. They're just highlighting those because of the text up above. Okay? So if we look here, we're going to start up here at the top. Here's a paragraph. As we read through the paragraph, there's a tag, but it's not a paragraph end. So let's go ahead, add a P to that. That fixes several of these, and we can kind of move down here now where we get to our list. So again, we have an ending of a list, but no beginning. It doesn't, yeah, there's a beginning, there's an end. So let's go ahead and change this to a beginning of a list. And then right here, we need to end that list. So same thing, we go along here, so that fixed a couple others. Here's our paragraph. Go down here, here's an end to a paragraph, but it's not complete. Add that, and that fixes everything for this activity. All right, let's move on to the third one. So in the third activity here, you can see that it's called debug pink tags, but it's actually working with the subheadings. So we have an H1, and then we close an H1, H3, H3, and we want it to look like this over here. Okay, so we do have a couple. Here's an H3 tag, but we can see we close an H2 tag, so we need to adjust that. Make that an H3. And then, same thing down here. So we have an H3, and this one's actually closing an H2. So let's go ahead and fix that. And I believe that's it. That looks correct. So that'll solve the third one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the fourth. So this fourth one now is add a larger heading and list. Okay, so up here we want to add the page title. You can see that they have comments in here for you, so it's going to tell us kind of where we want that. So let's go ahead and add in a catchy title. So we're going to make it an H1. Oops, add a little typo there. So this is our H1 heading, and we'll call it, we have land, sea, and air over here. Let's do the same thing. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and close that. Oops. Okay, so now that fixed that. And so they said to add a larger heading and then can you turn the subheadings into bulleted lists? So we can definitely work on that as well. But we have our heading up here at the top. And then if we wanted to do a bulleted list, we could just add in a list. I'm actually going to leave this, I think, just the way it is because it looks good. Okay. All right, so I think we're just going to leave that with this. I'm not going to add the bulleted list mainly because it's a bonus thing, but if you wanted to know how to do that, take a look at the bulleted list, and they just want you to do this with the subheadings here, so here, here, and here. Then you could just add the bulleted list onto that. Okay, but that's how you add the heading. Could be land, sea, and air. It could be transportation by land, sea, and air. It could do something like that. Hopefully that helps you with this activity. Good luck with your coding.